hard for me to get up every single day. I don't know why. I guess I was watching TV one day and I was kind of curious as to what was going on what I was watching on the TV, and I'd come to find out there's a reason why I didn't get it at first, but apparently I'm a vampire. There it is. I have a hard time getting up in the morning. Okay, I don't like going out in the daylight. When I get up, I'm a vampire. I found out. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you drink blood too? And do you
I'm gonna have to.
Do you turn into a bat?
I'm gonna
also?
have to. I'm gonna have to. No, seriously. I saw this thing on on TV where I forgot my headphones. I saw this thing on TV where they were people claim to be a vampire. You know, I never
That's ridiculous.
I know. I never understand exactly what's going on in their lives that they assume that they're not of this world. I guess, but I do have a hard time getting up in the morning. I have a hard time
going out in the sunlight.
Going out in the sunlight at first. I can go out in the sunlight. They said they can go out in the sunlight. So
Yeah, well, you do like it awfully dark in the house, like a cave.
I'm telling you,
That doesn't make you a vampire.
I don't know what else it could be, but there you have it. So,
All right. Well, when you turn into a bat and you start growing fangs and you're going to want to crave my blood, I'll get worried.
I think
I'll believe you. Then I'll believe you're a
try
vampire.
it. That's the only way to do it. I'm gonna eat some of your blood weekly. Is it weekly? Is it daily?
I thought it was like you need to eat blood every time you
No,
would
they
eat
said
a
you
meal.
can feed off of energy of people too.
Okay,
like,
that's made up.
Spiritually feed off their energy. You don't need to necessarily drink their blood. All right. So that explains why I'm tired all the time. That or my lack of nutrition. Who knows? I was recently watching something on ESPN. We were watching it earlier. I think we had a pretty good conversation about it. Involved Sammy Sosa. He, man, and I had this conversation with a couple of Cubs fans that I know, most importantly Matt. I have conversations with him, and of course Lou and Ernie. I had these conversations about Sammy Sosa. I think is the greatest Cub of all time, hands down. I really do. That's the entire 100+ year generation, whatever you want to call it, of every Cub that has come through. Ernie Banks, you can argue Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace. Some ridiculous people are saying right now Mark Bryant, but honestly, Sammy Sosa's the greatest. He used steroids during the steroid era. Everybody did it.
Did he use it though?
Well,
how do you know?
We're looking around. I mean, there's a ton of times where we were looking at the TV, and you could just tell when somebody's lying. Can you tell when I'm lying?
Oh yeah.
No, you can't.
Lies all the time.
You can't tell when I'm lying. But we could tell. We could tell when you try to avoid a question, when you don't answer a question. But he was interviewing him, and he was saying all this stuff about what was the questions he was asking over and over again.
He asked if he used steroids any time during his career.
Right. He did ask him.
Actually, PEDs. Did you use any steroid or PED, any performance-enhancing drugs?
And he kept saying the same thing over and over again. He kept saying, "I never tested positive for steroids. I've never tested positive for PEDs."
Yeah, and then the interviewer was like, "Actually, you did."
Well, but even before that, he's saying, yeah, and I think it was, what's it say here? June 16, 2009, New York Times reported Sosa was on the list of players who had tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs in 2003 in baseball's steroid scandal. That was in 2003 that he was tested positive. So was he using it during the home run chase with him and Mark McGwire back in 1998? Most likely.
I think he definitely was. I'm not like a cop or anything, but I usually can tell when somebody's lying.
Feeling. Like if you had to bet, like let's say, Danielle, you're gonna lose your house if you get this wrong, and you have to tell me, do you honestly think that Sammy Sosa used steroids in 1998 during the home run chase?
And I would say yes, according to that interview that I watched earlier today. Not according to anything else, because I really don't know anything about his career, just that he was one of the greatest.
Yeah, Danielle didn't really see much of that home run chase and all that back then. But I followed it very closely. It was really fun to watch. I mean, he hit more home runs the next couple of years, like 66, 63. I got to look that up. But That wasn't the first time that or the last time that he hit 60 plus home runs. But besides that, just kind of going back to what the interview was asking him, he kept saying that question: did you ever use steroids? Did you ever use any performance enhancing drugs? And his answer was the same each time. No, I never tested positive. And he said, no, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking
if you tested
positive. I'm asking you if you used it. And he just kept dodging. He kept saying the same thing. No, I've never tested positive. He says, no, I'm not asking if you tested positive. I'm asking if you used it. And he just kept dodging it. So,
then he ended the interview. But one thing that the interviewer did say to him was, the fans want a yes or no answer. And he was not willing to give that. And I think that that's a very big sign of a lie. If you can't give a yes or a no, you're lying. You're avoiding the question. You're not answering it. You're not saying yes or no because you're trying to say, oh, I didn't lie. I didn't say that I didn't use them. If somewhere down the line they do find out there's some sort of, I don't know how they would ever figure that out. But
and now it's funny because I was saying the same thing too. I said, if somebody's avoiding the question, he probably got some advice beforehand because from his agent or whoever it was, if they ask you this question, this is how you avoid it. He says, I don't want to lie on camera. Okay, if you don't want to lie on camera, this is what you need to say.
But I almost think what he did was worse than lying. That is worse than lying.
What's that?
Avoiding the question.
Well, he didn't want to lie. I know it's avoiding the question, but technically he's not lying.
Technically.
So in his heart, he doesn't want to lie to the public. So that's what his main goal there is. But I think he isn't prepared for a good interviewer like that. And he says, well, no, I'm not asking you if you tested positive. I'm asking you if you actually did it. And then he was just kind of stumped. I don't know what to do from here on out. This isn't going well. So he actually ended
the interview
for what, 30 minutes or an hour?
No, it was a couple hours. They said they finally got him to come back and finish the interview. They didn't want it to end there, but he was not willing to. He just got up and left, and he said he felt like he was being attacked. But mostly that was the one thing that he didn't want to talk about for the obvious reason why he did use steroids.
I can understand why he didn't want to go on with it. It's very uncomfortable, and he didn't want to talk about it, but he had to have expected that answer. So he's been going along with Rafael Palmeiro, Jose Canseco, Mark McGwire. In case you don't know who these guys are, Rafael Palmeiro, a very prominent player with the Rangers and the Orioles back in the day. Jose Canseco, lots of people know him back in the day, Bash Brothers with him and Mark McGwire with the Oakland Athletics. And then later Mark McGwire went on to have that home run chase with Sammy Sosa. Well, Jose Canseco was the first one to come out and say, of those guys to come out and say that he did steroids and that he is guilty.
You mean Mark McGwire?
What did I say?
Jose Canseco.
No. I'm right. Jose Canseco.
Oh, he did? He was the first one?
Yeah, he was the first one that said it. Remember I was telling you, you and I were talking about the Surreal Life. He was on the Surreal Life. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, or some fan came up to him when he was doing an autograph session that said, I want you to apologize for dragging Mark McGwire's name through the gutter. And he just started laughing. He says, man, he did it. And then what happened later on? Mark McGwire later admitted. He admitted to it.
He admitted that he did it, yeah.
We saw him. It was a very, very tough day for him, but he admitted to it, and as most of the guys have. And I was saying this before, Andy Pettit had admitted to it. He did it because of the pressure that he felt from his peers and teammates and fans. He felt like he had to get back.
No, I don't blame him for using it. I think they all used, and I don't blame them for doing it. When you got millions of dollars on your shoulders, and if you don't show up, I mean, and everybody else is using them, what are you gonna do?
That's another good point that you make there.
You have no choice. Everybody else is doing them. If you want to keep up, you want to keep that position. They give them this money. They give them all these millions of dollars, and it's before they've even shown up or done anything. I mean,
well, in this particular case, they were getting paid. They get paid the league minimum, which is, I mean, right now it's around $500,000, but back then I'm sure it wasn't that much. But still, getting the millions of dollars right now that they're getting, yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And you brought up a great point there, because when all this first came out, and I remember it was a big deal back in, I think 2007. It was a really, really big deal. They started making of it, and then in 2009 that report came out, and I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I want to say it was along the lines of, these guys are all cheaters. They shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. This is bogus. And then you come to find all these years later, little goes by. Everybody was doing it. Everybody was doing it. And they all did it for that reason that you're probably saying right now. There's millions of dollars involved. There's millions and millions of dollars being thrown at you. And if you know the guy next to you is using steroids, and if you know your teammates are using steroids, they could take your position.
And they're going to take all that money. And you're going to be out of job.
You're going to be out of job, exactly.
And on top of that, you're throwing, hundreds of pitches a day at 100 miles an hour. You're hitting all day long, every day. You're going to have an injury in there. You're going to be sore. You're going to be tired. That's why they're taking those drugs. It's helping them heal, helping them feel better, helping them through the pain. I mean, it's not on a level that you and I would go out and play and, I get aches and pains from playing soccer or whatever, going for a jog. They're doing that times 10.
Doing it because they got millions of dollars on the line, a lot of pressure from just about everybody. But, kind of going along with that, I don't know what I would do. Put yourself in that position. You're pretty much saying that you would do that, right? Person next to you. If you come in and says, Danielle, I need you to get back. I need you to perform. What's it going to take? Here.
I don't know, because morally it's not right, and so that it's not the right decision to make. And that if somebody finds out about it, it's going to go public. You're probably going to lose your job, and then nobody's going to have any respect for you either. So I don't know. I feel like back then people weren't getting tested, so they didn't think that they would ever get found out.
But how can they not have respect for you? They're doing it too. I can't imagine.
I'm not talking about them like the other people that are all doing it. I'm talking about the fans and, just the general public.
I kind of just picture everybody doing it all the time and says, hey, man, I take it. I'm not getting in trouble. What does it matter? He's doing it. He's doing it. He's doing it.
Yeah.
Just do it. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
I think it's come down to that, basically. But that was an interesting thing that I saw on Sammy Sosa, because we were just watching that topic, and it was just interesting to see. And another thing that makes me believe that he's lying and just absolutely not telling the truth, and I hate to think this because the guy was so genuine back then. He just seemed like the most likable guy, and he's hitting home runs, and he's just making everybody's... He was very beloved in baseball, I think, for a while there in the late 90s and the early 2000s. But, I mean, you can't overlook what he's done now. And now the fact that, I'm sorry, it's very noticeable that this guy's skin is getting lighter and lighter. And it's kind of Michael Jackson-esque, where his skin's getting lighter, and I'm not sure exactly what's happening or what's going on. I don't even know how that happens, to be honest with you, but his skin is getting lighter, and they ask him, what is going on with your skin?
Yeah, why is it lighter? And he basically avoided that question and just said he uses lotion. It's a lotion. I just like clean skin.
What kind of lotion do you use? Do you use lotion that makes your skin lighter?
I mean, actually, I have used Proactive in the past, and that really did make my skin lighter.
Oh, there you
so
go.
I do think it's possible that he is using something that's a lightener, because a lot of those products are out there. But if he is, then come out and say, like, I use a special lotion. I think it's lightening my skin maybe a little bit. I mean, the way he looks is like he's 10 shades a different color. I mean, and his skin looks like maybe, I don't know if he's doing some anti-aging thing. Say, it's some anti-aging cream. I'm trying to stay looking young. I don't know.
It was peculiar, to say the least.
It was very odd.
We were thrown off a bit by it. And what can you do? He's standing by what he's saying in a sense. I mean, he should just flat out say, no. Did you cheat? No.
Yeah, if I didn't cheat on something, if you came and you accused me and said, did you cheat on that test? The answer is no.
No, you'd
it's
say,
yes
no,
or no.
I never got caught cheating on the test.
Yeah, exactly. I mean...
No, you never got caught cheating on the test. No, I never got cheated. Wait a minute. I'm the person that's giving you the test, and I'm accusing you right now, but I never got caught cheating. But did you cheat? No, I never got caught cheating on your test.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Does it work like that?
It's kind of like saying, hey, where's the proof? you know, and there it is right there. It's in your body language. It's in the way you answered the question.
Well, people are ready to erase this guy from the record books
See,
completely.
and I think that's bull. He doesn't deserve that.
I don't
Whether
either.
whether he used performance enhancing drugs or not, I mean, he still had an amazing career, and especially since probably everybody else was using it too.
They said since 2004, since he left Wrigley Field, he's never returned. He's never been invited back because they don't want him associated until he admits to it, which I think is kind of funny too. They don't want him back until he admits he used steroids. Oh, you admitted to it. Okay, you can come back now.
I feel like that's a trap.
It probably is, but man, these guys.
We got you to admit to it, and now I don't know.
Well,
He should be invited back, whether they think he did. There, like he said, basically, there is no proof. There's no proof, so.
he's the greatest Cub of all time. I don't care what you guys say. My buddy Matt says that he's not, and he's ready to shun him away too. He's from Chicago. He's a big Cubs fan. I just can't believe it. Cubs fans are peculiar people, man. I'm telling you. They hate Bartman. Absolutely hate Bartman for what he did.
Which is another.
This is funny.
Obviously, I'm not a Cubs fan, so maybe I'm biased, but I just feel sorry for the guy. He did what any other fan would have done. Anybody would have did that. You or I would have done that.
I'm an Astros fan, obviously, but and I always wished, and this is the competitive side of me, being in their division all these years. I wish nothing but bad things to happen to the Cubs because I was an Astros fan. That was our rival. I was the same way with the Cardinals. I don't so much anymore because they're not in my division anymore. But you know, at the time it was 2000, I think 2003 that incident happened, and I was so disgusted. Actually, I'm still disgusted to this day that people think that Bartman was the reason that the Cubs didn't advance to the World Series in 2003. They ended up losing to the Marlins, and the Marlins ended up beating the Yankees in the World Series that year. Crazy. But to think that a guy amongst 6, 7 other guys jumping for a foul ball, like any other spectator would have done, is to blame for what happened there. I just wish I was there so I could badger the Cubs fans too. I mean, I don't know what would have happened to me, but I would have badgered them as I was there. I'd be like, you are all morons for thinking that somebody cost you the World Series because you didn't catch a foul ball.
That's just typical people looking for somebody else to blame.
It's a scapegoat, I know.
And the poor guy, his life was ruined over it, basically. He had to go into hiding. He's, like, literally fearing for his life over catching a foul ball.
He didn't even catch it. That's a problem.
Well,
it just hit him.
Yeah.
He's the one that just hit. It just happened to land around him.
It's just bull. It's
And
that's how ridiculous fans have gotten. That's how serious we take our sports games.
I've always wanted to go. As you know, I'm a big buff about trying to get to all the stadiums I possibly can. So when we go up to Michigan, I try to hit as many ballparks as I can. And Wrigley Field's one of them on the way there. And luckily, I have my aunt living in Chicago, so she was able to take me to Wrigley Field on a couple of occasions. The second time, I was able to, after the game, go over to the Bartman seat. And it's actually interesting because the Bartman seat isn't at the edge anymore. They've actually built onto Wrigley Field, so they actually have stands now where, like, the edge was or something. I don't know. I have to show you a picture of it. I'm sure people can look it up too, but it's kind of funny. But
Can
a
you
lot of
sit
people
in the seat?
Yeah, you can sit in the seat, and I took a picture in the seat.
No, I mean like during a game to watch the game.
Absolutely.
Really? People are not afraid to sit in that seat?
I don't think many people know that that's the seat.
Oh,
I think
okay,
everybody
wow.
still thinks that the seat is at the edge of the foul line, like because that first row. That first row have seats in front of it, or now has seats in front of it.
Because I feel like people would be like, "Oh no, I'm not sitting there anywhere but there." Like, "Oh, we're gonna lose a game if I sit there."
Far from it. They got Cubs fans actually taking pictures like I did in the seats, pretending to catch the ball and everything like that. They've gone away with the curse. I mean, they even did that before they won the World Series. They broke the curse in 2016, and they actually won the World Series. But even before that, they were taking pictures. So
in there, so
obviously they didn't think too much of it. But and for a long time, I didn't even know if Moises Alou was going to be able to catch that ball. When I looked at it now, I mean, all these years later, maybe even Moises Alou was interviewed and said he knows he would have had it. But his reaction, getting pissed off at Steve Bartman, caused that all to happen. It's just another funny thing about how anybody uses a scapegoat to get out of something.
Yeah.
And that kind of reverts back to Sammy Sosa. Maybe they think he was a curse for everything that he did to the, back then, but I don't know.